Hello everyone and welcome to Get Better. Today on Get Better we're going to do the same thing that we do every time on Get Better. We're going to go over the stuff that we did last week, see if it was good, and try to make it better than good. Or maybe not. Maybe we don't judge it at all. Haha, see? Maybe I'm falling into my own traps. In any case, hydration. Is that happening still? We want to check in on this stuff. And you, if you want to improve, you have your own list at home. I hope you have your own list at home of stuff that you want to get better at, like coffee drinking. Are you any good at it? Do you need to practice? You might have to practice. I myself feel that I'm in desperate need of coffee drinking practice, so I'll be practicing all episode long, probably. Hydration though, water is good. Drinking lots of that. I think I'm hitting about 5 or 6 bottles of 24 ounces. You guys do the math. I'm not gonna math it. We're still avoiding sugar. At this point, my diet's kind of locked in. I don't even have to think about it anymore. So we could essentially we don't have to keep track of that anymore. Until it's time to like look at the diet again, we're gonna make some changes or something like that. Whenever income changes, right, it's a good time to relook at the diet because you might have access to things that you didn't have access to before. You might be able to increase the quality of your food or, you know, whatever. So income change is always gonna trigger that, but until that time, we're on a good run for food right now. We're staying low on sugar, up to 175 pounds, 76 today, so kind of bounces around there. For those of you who don't know, I used to be 111 pounds, 6 feet tall. I'm still 6 feet tall, now I'm 175 pounds. And that is a long journey. So you skinny nerds out there who are like, I'm just a skinny nerd. I can't gain weight, and I'm not fat. I'm not fatty. I'm gonna chop. See? I promise. Okay. I didn't just eat a bunch of cake. Okay, guys? I didn't just eat a bunch of fucking cake. Right? There's lots and lots of protein. And in general, just like whole foods whenever you can. You know. Get the good grains when you can. Avoid the sugar. That's the main thing. Just get a lot of water and a little bit of sugar. We don't actually have to move this at all because it's right on the page. Stretching. So I went to a physical therapist. Yes. Okay, so I finally have health insurance that's good enough to cover a physical therapist to help me with my back problems that I've been dealing with since I was 12 years old. Like, you might not know me. As a matter of fact, you probably don't know me as well as you think you know me, and maybe you don't even know me at all, but I want to tell you something. My back is very terrible to me. We don't have a very good relationship. My back and I, we don't hang out. We're not buds, okay? My back is like, oh, hey, here's this really cool thing you want to do, and then it just sort of stabs me in my own back. So it's sort of like meta backstabbing is going on there because the back is the one that's backstabbing me. And so it's a pain. You think a pain in the neck is a pain in the back, it's the worst. And so I've always tried to get at it from many angles, stretching, and I've talked probably a little bit about it on Get Better before. But this is the first time where it's like, in a long time, I had a little moment early on where it worked out, but first time in a long time that I've had like professional guidance on how to correct the issues with my spine. So my spine kind of does this. Terrible. And then my back, you know how your back is supposed to be like, oh yes, up and straight. It's a little bit of a curve, right? Mine goes like that. And it's like, I have the mutalisk spine at the bottom. Actually, the whole thing, yeah, I basically am a mutalisk. Guys, I could have made that whole story a lot shorter. I decided not to. It's not trying to decide anything. The words just came out, and this is Get Better. But in any case, so I have some guidance in stretching. Whoa, we are stretching way too much. Stretching way too much. We're not even going to call it stretching anymore. We're just going to call this PT. Do it. Oh. I mean, that's a little bit, right? Because we got to put information here. Every day. We do our PT every day. And that's it. That's all we do. For now. Because my back is in apparently awful shape, and I've been trying to fix it by stretching, but I stretch way too hard, and working out, but I work out way too hard. And so And that's not like a manly, I work out way too hard. No, but like you push too far, right? It's very easy, I think, to push too far. At least for me, and I think for a lot of people, that's like a very easy thing to do, because you're like, all right, I'm here. I showed up at the gym. I want to get results. I got to go as hard as possible all the time. But if you've got a fucked up back, maybe that's not such a great idea. In any case, so I have PT. I have a certain, very specific set of stretches that are going to do a particular set of things and strengthening exercises. It's all customized to me. It's like, oh, man, this is why everyone needs fucking healthcare. Jesus, if I could have done this, like, this is why everyone needs healthcare, guys. If you have healthcare, use it. And if you don't have healthcare, let's make that happen, you know. Sunspear Games 2020. So yeah, so I'm doing my PT and that's it. I'm not doing extra stuff. I'm not doing less. I'm doing exactly the PT stuff, which is not long. It takes me like 40 minutes a day. That's almost nothing. And we're going to talk about dueling back now. So dueling back was interesting because... Is the music too loud? Is it? Let me just yeah, that's a little better. In any case, it's going to get better. The show's going to get better too. We're gonna take a sidetrack and say that I decided to do the music live so I could hear the music while I was talking, so it would kind of make sense to what's going on. And maybe that's insane, but we're trying it out. Let me know what you think. Okay, back onto the main track now. And we're talking about dueling back. So meditation has been great, continuing to do the meditation. I actually do the meditation thing on my breaks. I do it, so I get 3 breaks a day. So I do 3 meditation sessions every day that I'm working, pretty much no matter what. And then I usually do 1 or 2 in the morning, and then I do 1 or 2 at night. So it's like meditating like a maniac. And I'm doing dueling back as well. And something that I noticed, the big thing about meditation is about it's training up your focus. You know, your ability not to get distracted, right? To be able to focus on a particular thing. Very useful skill. Very useful skill to have. And the world kind of conspires against you, right? To focus, because everything is designed with user experience in mind now. And so that makes so many experiences smooth, because they're like, okay, how many clicks does it take? How easy is this? We want the person, and not just for it to be easy, but to feel like it's easy too. Even if it's not true, right? That's the tricky thing. Like, even if it's not true, if you think it's true, that's enough. If you think whatever you're doing is saving you time, even if it's not saving you time, you feel good about it. People do that with traffic all the time, right? People are like, oh yeah, you know what? I'm going to go this way. It was like, oh, we hit traffic. And they're immediately like, any amount of traffic, like, oh, we're going to go off this side way. I'm going to do all this stuff and come back around. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't save you any time at all. It's just like you're just going a different way. And the traffic is going to slow you down, but it's not going to slow you down as much as, you know, going around that side path, right? So it's the same sort of thing. So I think we're like 8 layers deep in the side path now. So we need to get back. So meditation is a lot about focus, right? And I found that when I was playing dueling back, once I got the patterns down to a certain extent, like I was going up through 7, right? So I had 7 sets of data to remember. And if you don't know dueling back, I'm just going to briefly overview it really quick. Just imagine a grid, tic-tac-toe grid, and the middle is always empty, and there's squares around the outside, and they blink in a certain order. You have to remember the order they blink. And when they blink, you hear a letter, and you have to remember that letter as well. And you have to remember either 2 sets of that, right? So 2 by 2, so 4 total stimuli, like A, L, and then like left and like bottom right or something like that, right? You have to remember those. And then it goes on and on and on. And I made it up to 7. So I was remembering 7 things at a time. 1 thing drops off the bottom. You put it back up to the front. 1 thing drops off to the bottom, right? It's like playing a game of Snake with your mind, right? It's supposed to work on your working memory. It's supposed to improve your working memory. Well, I found that once I made it up to a certain level, like 6 or 7 or whatever, I would drastically shift. Like, if I wasn't focusing, I would drop all the way down to 3. Which is like, when I first played this game, the first time I was able to do 3. And all the way up to 7. In one session, just depending on like, if something just you know, in my mind distracted me or not. And so I feel like a huge part of my success at dueling back and what I'm kind of doing is practicing focusing. And so I feel like meditation has more backing it than dueling back does, and it's doing kind of a similar thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to simplify. And another reason we're going to simplify here is because with the meditation, I'm also sitting down and being really paying attention very closely to my posture, right? That's something that's quite useful to do when you're meditating. If your posture's better, you can focus better. Turns out it's pretty cool. That's why it's good to sit up straight when you're playing StarCraft. You want to play it better, right? You want to get better at anything. Posture actually helps you, helps your brain, right? And so when I'm doing the meditation, I have these moments of this, you know, 10 minutes at a time, sometimes 20 or 30 minutes at a time, where I'm really focusing on my posture, and it's really good. And that's actually one of the things my physical therapist asked me to do as much as possible, is basically whenever, so yeah, just thought about it. Whenever you think about it, try to get back into that posture where the lower back has a curve in the spine, because that's kind of my main focus, but also not leaning into the mic too much. Not leaning into the mic too much. You don't want to lean into the mic too much. But it sounds really cool when you do it. You know, so it's hard, but it's bad for your neck, so don't do it. Okay, take care of yourselves. We decided 30 minutes a day. We've been doing 30 minutes of StarCraft a day. What happened was I was doing this physical therapy in the morning instead of my normal stretching routine, and it took just way less time. And so I had extra time, and so I've been playing like 1 or 2 games in the morning, and then sometimes when I get back from work. So it's like really nice. We're starting to get the StarCraft grind back on. It's pretty cool. Hopefully be able to play some 1v1 obs today, but it is the Super Bowl, so this is happening and things need to get done. So we'll see. Yeah, and physical control continues to be something to work on in a major way. Now we should add something, right? We did focus things in a little bit. I'm really kind of focusing on meditation. Maybe we don't anything. And we just really we try to focus on the more important things. I think if we're meditating a lot, hydrating, the physical therapy takes care of all the strength and the flexibility stuff. This takes care of like focusing and perspective and a lot of mental stuff. StarCraft is StarCraft. It might not even be that, you know, I mean, the evidence for StarCraft being good for you is just about as good as the evidence for dueling back, but I love StarCraft. So I'm going to keep playing it until there's another RTS to play. I'm really excited for Warcraft 3, actually. I'm going to play the hell out of that for sure. Cool. All right. And so that's it for the Get Better portion of our show. Only took 13 minutes. Man, that was kind of rambling. It's kind of rambling. But, you know, I mean, if you like the rambles, it's good, because this is kind of the place that we're in. I'm going to drink some more coffee. I think the rambles come from here. I think this is actually the source. Yeah, you can almost taste the rambliness of it. It's ramblier than usual coffee. So we're going to talk about some philosophy stuff. If you're here just for the self-improvement, great. If you're here because you want to hear me ramble about some philosophy topics and maybe think about ideas yourself, maybe get better at coming up with ideas and thinking through philosophy, maybe that's what you want to get better at. If you do, stick around. If not, I'll see you next week. Hello, philosophy nerds. Now, this isn't very fancy. I don't have any qualifications. I'm just a regular dude guy, man, bro, that is chilling here with you, talking about some things that I experienced. So when I went to school, I had some gender studies classes. I think I had Native American studies and a couple of other of those classes, and they kind of implant a certain worldview and mentality into you. You know, whether you agree or disagree with that, you know, that's fine. But it is a certain perspective. And so I came very much from that perspective. And one of the things that I've changed my mind about is intent and implication. And this I've changed my mind in the space of, I think maybe the past year I made this realization, or this, you know, this changing of my mind, where when I was in those classes in college or uni, as you European Just never call it a college. Or because college is something completely different, feel free to explain the differences below in the comment section. They teach you that the implication is more important than the intent, because the intent is what, oh, I didn't mean to hurt you. It's like, well, that's great, but I still lost my arm. I'm still hurt. And so by that logic, right, that's the gist of the argument that I got. You're supposed to say, okay, well, because the implication is the real world effect of whatever is going on, that's the only thing that matters. But it's kind of the reason why I disagree with it now. At first it made perfect sense to me, but the reason why I disagree with it now is it's sort of, I'm getting into my own head again. It works in this pure thought bubble kind of a way, right? Theoretical kind of way. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But the implication of the philosophy of intent and implication, when you say intent doesn't matter, you throw that away. The implication of that, what ends up happening, the result, right, is, I mean, think about it. Think about it just for a moment. JaKaTaK, did you go too deep? Did you pick a topic that you totally can't handle that you're going insane about? Perhaps. Perhaps. And this is the way that it totally is. All right, let me see if I can pick up the tracks of the train and get it all back together for a second here. No editing. No editing? Do we do the no editing? I'm gonna drink coffee. See, I'm getting much better at drinking it. I told you I'd be practicing. So, you're trying, the implication of that philosophy, right, is that you end up setting up different systems of reward and punishment, right? So, like, how are you supposed to, without intent, right? Manslaughter, which is layman's term, I got into a fight with this guy, and I didn't mean to kill him, but I hit him the right way at the right time, and he fell, and he's hit his head on the, on a brick or something, and because there was a brick there, because you're fighting around bricks, obviously, that's where fights happen, around bricks, and they're dead. It's like, oh, it's manslaughter, you didn't mean to kill him, and then premeditated murder, that's a big difference, right? Either way, the implication is the person is died, someone, and it's someone's fault, right? It's the result of someone else's actions. But if you meant to do it, or you didn't mean to do it, that's a big difference. That's you can tell a lot about who that person is, whether or not they were intending to kill the person or not, And that's quite useful if you're trying to create systems of reward and punishment, or systems of governance around people to incentivize them to do particular behaviors, I think that if you throw away the intent, then you lose access to all these systems that sort of put gradients on intent, that I think are good for creating better lives for human beings. So it took a little while to get there, but we got there. That's kind of the gist of it. Those were the thoughts that sort of flipped my mind one way initially, which is like, yeah, the real world, that's the thing that matters. Obviously, implication is so important, and intent doesn't matter at all. To extreme, right? That's totally my, that's the trap that I fall into. I fall into the extreme trap. It's too extreme of a point. It's like intent and implication. They both matter in different amounts depending on the situation, right? And all of a sudden, it's not as simple anymore. We can't just be like, haha, yes, this thing doesn't matter at all, ever, in any situation. It's like, you got to get suspicious, I feel like. Whenever there's some claim, and I'm guilty of doing this too, whenever there's some claim that comes out that's just this overarching, just complete and total, this thing is completely useless, or this thing is complete, one way or the other. It's just, you got to be suspicious when that kind of stuff, comes up, to sort of guard yourself against this. But I wasn't suspicious at the time, and it sort of wrapped me up and pulled me in. But a little bit of thoughts. got me out of it. So go ahead, take a look at all your thoughts, and let me know what you're doing to get better this week. And I'll see you next time. I'll get better.